Welcome to the Radical Responsibility Revolution podcast. This is where we are transforming lives, inspiring you to reclaim your health, your wealth, and the power of your mind. Here we share actionable insights, inviting you to turn inwards and design your life of purpose and abundance.
Welcome back to another episode of Radical Responsibility Revolution. And today's guest is someone who's built a business around helping people get on stages. Ooh, you know how much I love that. But what I'm actually interested in isn't just the stage, it's the woman behind the strategy. We know there's a lot of people teaching how to speak out there, but far fewer who understand what it really takes to be heard. Leisa Reid is known as the speaking strategy mentor. She's delivered over 600 talks, written 9 books, and built platforms like Get Speaking Gigs Now and the International Speaker Network. What caught my attention isn't the volume, it's the consistency, the decision to keep showing up, keep refining, and keep putting your voice into the world, whether it's polished or not. Just do it. So today, we're not just talking about getting booked, we're talking about what it actually takes to own your voice, which I love that. So it's lovely, Leisa. I'm so excited to talk about what that means for you. And so, welcome.
Thank you. You just mentioned one of my favorite things to talk about. The sexiest thing is consistency. I
Absolutely.
can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. I always love to start out and just dive deep into who you are. So I'd like to ask you, what are you the most proud of in your life?
I was going to say my daughter.
Yeah, that's typical. That's why I
Yeah,
eliminate it.
I think it is actually my consistency. Once I find the groove, I have no issue at all of just continually putting drops in that bucket. And I think that is one of the keys to my success. Instead of just doing a big thing and then letting it go, and then another big thing and then letting it go, I really do like to be determined and consistent. And I would say that is, those are two things that I've done my entire life.
So when you say consistency, give me an example of what that would be like just in your own personal life. What I love about words, and I love the English language so much, but the unfortunate part is that every single person has their own version of what a word means. So give me an example of what that
Well,
means for you.
here's an example, and this is something that's true to my heart. I'm a really good best friend. I have multiple best friends, and I don't think there's a limit on how many best friends you can have. But one of my closest best friends, we met when we were 12 years old, and we grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska together. And we have maintained a very close friendship, even though we haven't even lived in the same state since we were 18 years old. We have had marriages, divorces, kids, deaths, births, all the things that could feasibly disintegrate a relationship just because of stress in life. But we have always been consistent about our friendship. So for me, it's like when something works and when I spend time with somebody, that is something I'm going to be consistent about.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that some people are consistent with habits that aren't supportive. So
Right.
how would, right? So let's talk about it from a perspective of how do you become consistent doing things that are helpful to you? Because we're going to dive into the speaking arena, but one of the things that I would say, they don't have that desire to let go of some of all those non-supportive behaviors. What is something that you're giving your clients right now to move them off of that consistency of an old habit?
I never thought about it that way in term worded exactly like that, but sometimes it's about creating a new habit. One of the things that I learned a long, long time ago before I even was doing it on the computer was a CRM, like keeping track of my clients. I know this is going to sound boring. People are like, I thought you were going to talk about speaking, but having a CRM, a client, a contact relationship manager. So now we have software to do all this. But back in the day, I used an index card box. I don't know if you did that too. Yes. I was like a dog on a bone with that thing. I thought, okay, and I would write down this is what the person said, and this is what day, and this is when I'm going to follow up with them. Just that simple act learning it at a young age and being consistent with it provided me great relationships with my clients and great success. Even though this was in a different business, obviously, a long time ago with the index card box. But I still do that today. And it's those little things like our session is on my calendar. I'm following up. I'm making sure that I'm going to be prepared as much as possible to be on this stage, which this is considered a stage as well. A
Yep.
podcast could be considered a stage.
Yep.
And if I miss the date, miss the time, miss the person's name, miss the name of the show, miss whatever, these important details, that is going to, that can affect business. So
Yep.
that's where it's like, oh, being really consistent with your calendar, being consistent with the details, being consistent with developing relationships. Those are things that I teach my clients how to do if
Yeah.
they don't know how to do it already.
Right. So that really is a strategy about speaking as a business and also for your business. One of the interesting things is that I see so many speaker coaches out there. I was back in the day going to seminars by Jesse Corin and Charla called Thrive, and he was teaching
Mm-hmm.
how to speak from the stage from your business so that that will increase your business. So I want you to put a through line for people about speaking
Yeah.
and how that helps your business. So many people out there have a message, they have a voice that they don't know what to do with it. It's also having that understanding of what that can do for you. So anybody can have a speaking career about their particular business, whether it's a
Right.
massage
That's
therapist or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how I use speaking. I am not a
right,
professional speaker full time, and that's my job.
right,
And most of my clients don't fall into that category either.
right,
They do fall
right.
under the category of I'm a purpose driven entrepreneur,
Yeah,
business owner, leader. I'm heart centered. Or that's how they identify potentially as a heart centered
right.
person. Maybe they're in coaching or they have services or packages, things like that.
Mm.
But here's what happens is that they go get certified in this thing that they're really passionate about. And then
I know where you're going.
yeah, then it's like,
I'm
oh, sales
laughing.
and marketing hit them over the face with a 2x4, and they're like, what the heck? I ran out of friends and family. I'm hunting down people at the grocery store or going, dropping into their DMs, and it's painful for them. It's super
Uh-huh,
painful because
uh-huh.
they're not that. I used to run a sales team. So, you have your top salesperson. That's a certain type of personality, not
Mhm.
usually a life coachy kind of person. Not that it couldn't be,
No.
but typically not. And or a medical doctor or an attorney, they don't teach you sales and marketing in those programs. So you have all this knowledge that you're sitting on, you can help people, but there's this block. You're like, how am I stuck on this island? I can't
Yeah.
get people to my island. So then speaking is a way to do it if you enjoy it. Again, I'm not a fan of doing stuff you hate. Don't do that. If you'd rather get a root canal, then don't become a speaker. But if you like telling stories, if you are passionate about what you do, if you have knowledge that really can help somebody else and have that impact, then people get to know you from the stage. And if you have a great through line through the talk that leads them to the next little nugget to work with you, or however you want that set up, and we set that up, but everyone's got a different formula, then getting those clients just feels easier and you're not
Mhm.
chasing, instead of you're attracting, and you're not just attracting everyone, you're attracting the people who are going to pick up what you're throwing down. They like your humor, they like your style, they like your energy, they like what you said, and they're like, wow, they were speaking just to me, and that's what we're looking for.
That is a beautiful synopsis of what that is. You have to be really far on the fringe of fear of speaking to want a root canal
Yeah.
over that. If you are passionate about what you do, and all these heart centered entrepreneurs typically are, it's fairly easy just to share that wisdom. You are teaching this from this how to improve your own business without knocking down doors, cold calling.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting with the fear of speaking. It's not that I agree with you. I think most people don't mind it, but it seems to be acceptable to just say, "Oh, I'm scared of speaking," or "I hate public speaking," or this. It's almost like this phobia that's just accepted. And I'm like, no, no. Most That's usually old news. It's baggage from a
Yeah,
long time ago. And then
yeah.
we're like, I'm 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years old, and now why am I still carrying on this old thing that doesn't apply
Mhm.
anymore? And I often say I'm a teacher disguised as a speaker. I don't need to be the center of attention. I'm not there for that. But I am there to transform, make an impact, really help shift someone's life. And I think a lot of people can get on that boat. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's not as scary."
The other component of that is when they are authentic, when they're their soul selves,
Yes.
and they don't have to be over the top, because I'm a over the top, shake it up like a Lisa Nichols person. But there's people that are very quiet and
Mhm.
they're very reserved, and that's them. That's who they are. But and when they flub up and when they say, "Oh my gosh, I've just lost my complete train of thought. Let me stare at the floor for a minute." That's there. People are attracted to that. So I
Mhm.
love that idea that throw that whole idea, that old wives' tale out the window, because I've seen so many people move through this in a way that is congruent with who they are, not who they are trying to be. So when you're
100%.
talking to your clients, how do you talk about this topic of authenticity, of realness, of being your soul led self?
It starts with when people are in my speakers training academy, or they can do this just separately. I do a Get Your Talk Ready to Rock session, and I have it in a boot camp so people can do it on their own if they want. But when they want my eyes on their stuff, I would sit with them for 2 hours. We do it on Zoom. And I say, we're going to birth your brilliance. And I'm basically like, I'm your OBGYN, your midwife, your doula, whoever you need me to be in the delivery room to birth this brilliance. So this baby's going to come out, whether you're a man or a woman, and you're going to fall in love with it. That is my goal. And so what we do is I listen, and I listen, ears, eyes, and my intuitiveness, everything, everyone's there present to listen to this message to come out. And then we start to make sense of it. And it's all with the service of you attracting your ideal clients and your personality. I would say, if I told you to say something and you don't want to say it, you're not going to say it on stage, even if I think it's the best idea in the whole wide world. Or if I tell you to offer something on stage that you're not on board with, you're not going to do it. You're going to forget, run out of time, make it really vague, or pop something else in. And so I'm very aware that the person who I'm working with needs to be 100% on board and in love with whatever we create for them.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
going to hurt my
So,
feelings if they're not. So what we do
well,
is we'll get there. We'll get there.
it's a process. It
Yeah.
is. It's a process. It is a birthing. And that's what people want, is immediate gratification in the today's world. So birthing is a process. Doesn't come quickly. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it's 48 hours of labor later. So what
Hypothetically
so
speaking, of course.
yes, exactly. The thing that's coming up to ask, because I know that there's a lot of women that are fitting into this category, including myself. So multi-passionate, right? So many things, and drilling that down, because you said ideal client, and of course my spidey senses go, oh, there's that conversation again. So talk about that a little bit, because that really is, I'm hearing it more and more because I resonate with it, and so then I'll see it more. And I'm sure you run into people that have the
Sure.
multi-passionate,
Yeah.
because it doesn't really narrow itself into that focus. So what's your guidance for women that are
Yeah,
in that
I just say
situation?
we don't have to, it's not like we're picking, if we choose one way, we're eliminating the other way. But at one point, we have to decide something. Okay. And I'll usually say, well, after we talk it through, which one is most important for you to build right now? And which one do you want to give energy to right now? Because you can build that. Let's say you're going to build your signature talk, you're going to figure out where you're going to speak for that, and you're going to go for that and go for those clients. It doesn't mean that you're closing off the other avenue. It just means, okay, we're going to do that. And then when you're ready, you can switch gears. And sometimes you might even be able to take all that work that you did. Let's say you spoke at all these places with topic A, it might fit to then circle back around and say, I have this other thing. That's okay. You can basically make the rules up, but you do want to do things that make sense. And I think sometimes people will say to me, oh, do I have to have 3 talks? I'm like, well, hold on a second. Have you ever done this before? No? Okay, then no. We're going to start with
Start with
one
one.
and we're going to get you on down that road. Then, yes, you're going to add them as you develop your business. They're going to add, but I wouldn't start with three because that's three decks, three that you're going to be all confused and you won't even know which way's up. Just focus on one for a bit and then you can add
Yep.
that. I think, I don't know about you, but I always tell my clients, as entrepreneurs, we are literally building an empire in our mind. It's like, I've got the videos and the course and the this and the that, and blah, blah, blah. I've got all these things in my book and my podcast is coming out and we're just have all this stuff. And I said, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. So let's just, what building are we building right now? And you could build another building when you're ready.
Hmm.
That's okay.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that's so overlooked because I always talk about nature, right? Nature is such a good model for us. Even if it was, you use a building, we could use a building as an example, put a foundation out, put the structure up, then put the roof on instead of saying, let me put that roof up there on the air
I'm
before I build
nothing. Yeah.
anything. That's really what you're describing. But it's the same way in nature. You can plant a seed that can grow really fast. And sometimes it's as simple as a bamboo or one that's an oak that will grow longer. And we've put time frames on things that sometimes are unrealistic. So that empire, as you said, Rome wasn't built in a day. It was built over time, as is everything in life. And we don't learn to ride a bike in 5 seconds. We don't learn how to walk, but we expect that we're going to know how to do these things in 15 minutes because, oh, we took a course.
Right.
Okay, good luck with that. So, at what point did speaking go from something you did to something that you are today? How did that feel, that transition for you, and what did that look like?
Well, I started speaking officially when I was 40 and I hit the ground running, booked over 80 speaking engagements my first year. This was back in 2013 and kept on going. And what happened was I had created an organization, which is now called the International Speaker Network. People in the network were always asking me for help. Like, how did you get on this stage? What did you say? What are you doing? Can I pick your brain? Those kind of things. And, I was focused on something else. And until one day I thought, wait a second, I just keep getting this message over and over that I need to help people with this. And it's very easy for me, but clearly is not easy for everybody else. So
Yeah.
what am I doing that's different? And, kind of coming back to that consistency and confidence. How can I teach that in a way that other people can replicate it in their own way? They don't need to do exactly what I'm doing, but how can they find their own formula for that? And it was in 2017 that I opened Get Speaking Gigs Now because that's what people were asking me for. They weren't asking me, how do I become a better speaker?
Right.
They want to know, how do I get on the stage? Period.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, that's it. So,
Period. Yeah.
what's your number one tip for booking?
Well, usually I say you have to get your talk ready to rock first. And I say that because,
Yeah.
and I don't know if our listeners here already have the talk created, but I will often get people say they want to be a speaker. And I'm like, great, what do you speak on? And they're like, well, I'm still working on it. I'm like, well, we're not even in the race yet. We gotta get something. You have to put your stake in the ground. But let's just say you have your talk, you are ready, you're like, put me in, coach, I'm ready to go. I've practiced it, my slides are done, everything's done. Then we need to figure out, where are your ideal audiences? And what do they look like? Are they in person? Are they virtual? Do you live in the middle of nowhere? Do you live in a big city? What's your contacts look like? What's your social media presence look like? Not to say that you need all those, but we want to use what you have. That'd be dumb if we didn't. I used to have this
Yeah.
one client. He would say he hates social media. And he would say, I don't know anybody, Lisa. I don't have a network. I don't know anyone. I said, well, I doubt that's true in this day and age. And I knew I'm enough to give him a little bit of a hard time. So I'd say, and then he'd be like, wait, you could call this person and this person. I'm like, okay. Next call we'd have. He already had he made 2 phone calls to 2 people that he knew, and he got 2 speaking engagements. So
Mm.
I use that as an example. Sometimes we think we need thousands. No, you just need to know the right people. And he had deep relationships, not a lot, but he had
Mhm.
trusted deep relationships.
Mhm.
And he would do that over and over again because he had already created these strong relationships. Other people are sitting on so many contacts, but they don't know how to utilize that. They don't know how to leverage that or even ask. A lot of times people have I call it, your receiving muscle is in atrophy. Just
Yes.
giving so much, you don't realize that you could actually
Mhm.
ask for support, and they find it so, like, awkward and unbecoming. And I'm like, we need to work through that so that you
Yeah.
can feel okay asking.
Yeah. I love that analogy because we do at least this is my observation, and that doesn't mean that it's true because we all have our own truth. But when I observe people and they want to present themselves or sell themselves, because I hate the word sales, but that they have to go online, right? So I have all the social media stuff. Let somebody else take care of it because it's not my thing. But those aren't warm leads.
They're just
Those are
people.
ice cold leads, if they're even leads, right? And so I remember, because I've been in real estate for most of my life, a coach by the name of Brian Buffini, and he
Mhm.
really got that very clear, is go through your list of people that you know and trust and that would refer you or give you some sort of a lead to get to someplace else. And that's what you just described, this gentleman who doesn't have any social media following, because I think we all want to fall into a trap because that's what the messaging is out there. Go to social media, that's going to fix your problem. When the reality is, you have a circle of influence, and the longer you've been on the planet and the more places that you've been and worked and connected with people, you don't even have to go to the chamber. You have that influence right in front of you. So I think that's such a beautiful piece of wisdom to share with people, is that they're getting stuck for not the right reasons.
Mhm.
Underneath, there's that confidence thing you talked about. So
Yeah, I was
talk
just
about that.
I just gave a talk earlier this year from someone who I worked with over 20 years ago. My daughter's 23 and I wasn't even married yet when I met this person. So it was like 5 careers ago. And he's like, I need a speaker. Can you do this? So again, yeah, you're right. The longer you live, the more opportunities you make.
Talk about that piece of the confidence.
Mhm.
Because as you said, you already had confidence. And I think it's very interesting because I'm one of those people that everybody perceives I have all this confidence, which I'm just a hot mess underneath. I'm like the duck under there. I'm not not completely, but the fact is
Sometimes.
that persona is out there. And so people think that's really easy when the reality is it's a very courageous act every single time that we take it. And
Yeah.
so, how do you transmit that, what your perceived natural confidence is, to those people that they were asking you, how do I get this done? Because that's
Yeah,
really a big ingredient.
it is, and it's almost like being someone's wing woman because
Yeah.
sometimes we need to be witnessed. Sometimes we need
Yeah.
validation that our idea, our brilliance, our expertise is something other people would want to hear. So it
Mhm.
starts right away with that get your talk ready to rock session. And I've had clients who are like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I would have done this on my own. It's not that they didn't know the information, it's all their expertise. But how to word it in a way that an audience would find it appealing. How do you break it down? You've got tons of knowledge. How do you decide what are the most important nuggets you want to share? What's going to the cream off the top? But also, even the most confident, intelligent, determined, hardworking person still can have those doubts. When we're on stage, we are vulnerable. It's like you're coming away from the pack. You're the lone wolf sitting out there waiting. And that can bring up a lot of fear. So the more that we can regulate the nervous system. Okay, I worked on this talk. I was in my right mind. I was intentional about it. I was using my higher consciousness as we created this. I remember how that
Mhm.
felt. This is really what people need to know. This is what really is going to help people. And when we come from that energetic space,
Mhm.
it helps to alleviate that, oh my gosh, am I going to be good enough? And what if I look stupid? And what if I make a mistake? And all that's just gobbledygook that comes up when we're doing something new. I say when we're leaving the comfy zone.
Mhm.
And so the more we can do that, I can help prepare somebody with that and validate their expertise and put it in a way that's manageable for other people from stage, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. The old imposter syndrome likes to tag along a lot.
Well, and even when we're,
So,
oh, I was going to say something too. Even when we're now, so let's say it's all ready and done, like the talk is completed, your slides are great, you position yourself as a speaker, but you still do need to get a speaking engagement. Even
mhm.
that first one, can feel scary. We're like, oh my gosh, I hope they say yes. And what if they say no? And what if they don't like my topic? What if? But the more we do something, the more we ask, the more
Mhm.
we get rejected, the more we get accepted. We're like, oh, okay, this is how it goes. This is all right. Nothing personal. Maybe they already had a speaker. Nothing personal. Maybe they didn't get my email. Nothing personal. Or they picked me. Great. Okay, go and do it. It's just part of the deal. I don't get a yes every single time. But I
I
also know
think
it's not about me.
that's not about the yes either.
No,
It's not about that. It's about being from a servant's heart of sharing
absolutely.
your message. And when we get that, one of the things that I always loved from day one, and I've been speaking for a long time, but you are the expert. What people don't realize, as soon as you step on that stage, you are the authority in the room
Yes.
because you have the stage. Yes, getting the gig can be scary, but once you are on that stage, you're the authority. And no matter what
Instant
you say,
credibility.
it's people are looking to you for answers. So I think that's so brilliant. Let's talk about these nuts and bolts for a second, because once again, having a gig is great and it feels, well, at least for me, it feels good. I love it. But if we don't do anything with it, it's like having a website that nobody knows is there, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to build a business around it, if you just want to go around speaking, and sometimes you can get paid big bucks for being keynote, but most of us are doing it for our businesses, there is a process. And one of those things is giving them something from the stage and then following up, as you said, the consistency. So talk about that trajectory of what that looks like. It really is one of the most important left out ingredients, especially if you're in business as a heart-centered entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say you can have the best talk in the world. If no one hears it, not really going to do a whole bunch of good. But also, you can have the best talk in the world. And if you don't have a call to action, you can leave. You imagine it's an in-person event and you're in your car on the way home and you're like, that was so cool. Everyone said it was so great. And you're like, wait a second. I
Mhm.
didn't get any email opt-ins. I didn't get any client bookings or f- warm leads for speaking engagements. So it's like, what did I do wrong? Was it me? Yeah, there's some things that you're missing. There's some things that you're missing. And that can mean having that clear call to action. I've got a lot of opinions about that. Call to action could be something you sell, it could be something for free. I love giving away things for free. I think that's
Mhm.
an easier way to go personally, and it really works really well for me and my clients. But I don't get in the way of someone wanting to sell something either. That's fine. We just need to make sure that it makes sense for the venue and the opportunity and the audience. And so I'm a fan of having a monetization menu, meaning like, okay,
Mhm.
what are the different things that you could give out or offer at your talk? And it doesn't mean you have to have a whole bunch. I say that because sometimes people get a little stuck. Oh my gosh, should I offer this? Should I offer that? Should I do this and this and this and that? And I'm like, hold on, hold on. Okay. While we're in our higher conscious thinking, let's put together the different things that you could feasibly offer an audience. We've got some free things. We might have some things that are not free. We might do a scheduled call. We might do a free opt-in. We might do a ticket to an event. What it's going to depend on what the
Yeah.
person's got in their business. But I would say the simpler we can be, the better. And what could we do tomorrow? Within a week's time, let's say you're not a technical genius, but you might have a VA who can support you. What landing page or what doohickey needs to connect to the thingamabobber to get you this link that's going to work? And let's not overcomplicate it. Then you can always make something more complicated later if you want. But simple is easy. And
Yeah.
we also want to make it so that you're not spending a lot of time following up, that you put the onus on the audience member to opt into whatever that thing is that you're wanting. Let's say it's a phone call. They go right into the thing, they fill the form out, you get an email, it goes on your calendar, your CRM or whatever, and that's it. So you don't need to then go. I've had people say, "Oh, I can enter all the names after I'm done." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. Long are those days are long gone. used to be, used to be, yeah, but not anymore." So don't do that to yourself. Don't wreck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important to really distinguish, though, that what you just did, you like free. I like free for the connection, right? That really
Yeah.
coldness of what people can move through. I saw an email this morning. It started out by saying people were asking, is there going to be a pitch? So we have all been, I'm from old school where I learned the Tony Robbins kind of people of how to do a huge offer, build the tension, do all of that. And then you contrast that with someone like Elisa Nichols, who's there to serve and says, this, if this doesn't resonate with you, then don't worry about it. Instead of, I'm going to give you this option and run to the back of the room, right?
Right.
That's a very masculine energy. But the most important thing, as you just were explaining, is the CRM. which contains the list because we want to connect with our tribe. So,
Yeah.
talk about how you communicate with your clients about the list because an opt in, a squeeze page, a landing page, any of those, you have to have one of those today. You can't be in this manual mindset
Debbie,
when you
I
want to
love that
grow
you
it.
just said squeeze page. I have not heard that word in so long. I love it. I love it.
People out there, I talk to an older crowd, so they're like,
I love
have I
it.
heard that before?
Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of a squeeze page in so long. Okay, I remember the day I learned what a squeeze page was. Okay, so yes, I am a huge proponent of having a list.
Hmm.
Currently, at this recording, an email list is what we are talking about, and that is still
Yes. Oh, yeah.
valuable. And
Yes.
so I have different ways that I will suggest we get that started. Usually it starts as an opt-in, and I don't, a lot of times my clients come to me, they already have one. So that's cool. If they don't have one, then I'm going to say, okay, let's spend a little time on that and figure out what that thing is. And it needs to be sticky, sexy, attractive, like something that some
Hmm.
cool knowledge. Mine is 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs now. It's, oh, I've only had a few minutes with you. Let me give you more stuff. And then you can read through it in your own time. And I'm going to give you some really cool stuff. So it's got to be something that people are going to want. What's nice about it is that once you have it set up, then it's set up.
Yep.
That's it. But then the other thing about it is setting it up, and you already know all this, but we're talking
No,
for our
you're talking
people.
to the tribe here.
Yeah, is once you have it set up, you can use it everywhere,
Yeah.
not just in
Yeah.
your talk, but like your signature, your banners on your socials, your link tree, your calendar. Like when someone books a call with me, it's on my calendar. Like, would you like these tips? They don't need to.
Hmm.
I am never gonna put you on my list. I'm not gonna do that. But if
Right.
you want to be on it,
Right.
you can apply to be
Right.
on it.
It's so brilliant. I've said for decades, the list is your gold.
Yes.
Now, it's not as golden as it used to be because people spam you to death. But the fact is that we want to have that connection. It goes back to that whole thing about social media that so many people in the world believe. I actually had a kid, he's probably in his 20s, recently wanted to be mentored by me for something business wise. And he says, can you make money on social media? And I'm like, well, yeah, if you get a viral video, but the fact is, because there's still that idea out there that social media, if you get enough of this, then YouTube or somebody's going to pay you.
We
Social
want to
media,
rent. We
because
don't want to rent. We want to own.
that's exactly right. So that's a beautiful description. So speaking of which, so what are you have to offer? I'll put it in the show notes, the
Oh.
5 steps to
5 tips to get more
tips.
speaking gigs now.
Yes,
And
right.
you can get it at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips.
Yeah,
So
it'll be
yeah,
in the show notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
easy.
So that's really fantastic because this is what it's all about is really understanding how to grow your business through speaking. That is the whole essence of this. And it
Pretty
is
much it. Yep.
brilliant because it takes away all of that sales conversation for the most part. But it's really amazing how so many people that I run into and see all this advertising today for speaking, and it really just boils down to this essence. Because I've heard I can teach you how to tell stories, I can teach you how to have a better talk, I can teach you this, and all of that, frankly, is beautiful and wonderful, but it's irrelevant if you can't get on a stage.
Exactly.
And then if
That's
you
why
can
I
get on a stage,
focus on that part.
right? And then if you can get on a stage and you don't do anything with it, then it's a nice hobby. It really truly is. So, what is your best wisdom that you would like to share with women particularly about this field that you're in, but that it how it supports them in so many different ways, not just standing on a stage and speaking?
Yeah, it's a way to, if you implement public speaking, whether it's virtual or in person, into your business model for marketing, you will have consistent leads, consistent clients, consistent appointments on your calendar, consistent partners you can partner with. It's really a no-brainer. And I have found, and I think you'd agree, Debbie, it's one of the funnest ways to grow a
Mhm.
business. It doesn't feel like a soul-sucking activity, and you get to meet the most incredible people. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a fan.
Yeah, and I've done some research, not a ton, that there are so many opportunities for women speakers these days
Yes.
because the field has been saturated with men, and there aren't a lot of women, and there are a lot of organizations that want women speakers. So the field is there, the opportunity is wide open if somebody's looking for it. And so, anything else you want to share with us before we wrap
I
this
just
up? Because
want to
I
thank
think
you
this has
for
been
the
brilliant.
time and do what makes your heart sing. That's
Yeah,
till the rest of your days.
yeah. Well, let me ask you one final question. After 600 talks, what challenges you today?
Hmm. I think it's always interesting to see how can I make a bigger impact but work less.
Yes.
Yeah, because I hustled so much of the front end of my life,
Yes.
and I really am not interested in that anymore. I
I
love
agree.
who I work with. I love what I do. If I'm somewhere, it's because it brings me great joy, like to be here with you today. And I'm very guarded with my time and who I spend time with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant wisdom. I say it in so many different ways, and so many women say that exact same thing in their version is that we have left the hustle and now we're into the flow and the receiving and the brilliance of who we are because we are in that wisdom stage of our lives. So
Love it.
it's been a pleasure having you here today, Leisa, and I really appreciate you coming and visiting with us. And I'd love to have you back just to
Yeah,
check in and see how things are going.
that'd be great. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Okay, thanks.